Marcus Rashford's agent is busy meeting multiple clubs to discuss a January exit from Manchester United. But what exactly is happening? Let me give you a complete run-through of all the clubs who have been linked with Rashford, which ones his agents have actually talked to, the problems with his wages, what other talks are expected next, and bring you totally up to date. We all want a new left wing-back, we all want a new attacker, but genuinely I think the most important thing that United could do this January is to find a new club for Marcus Rashford. What I'm going to do in this video is run through a chronological overview, if you want to call it that, of what's happened so far in January with Rashford, all the talks that he's held, where it's advanced, what isn't going to happen, so you all understand exactly where the Rashford exit situation is right now. You can let me know what you think in the comments. If you do enjoy the video or it does help you understand it, please do drop a like on it, but let's run through it, okay? Now, Rashford, of course, has been left out of the team for the majority of the last 4 out of the last 5 games. He was on the bench against Newcastle, but got overlooked by Amorim. He was ill then for the following game against Liverpool. He's been cut out of the team. And I haven't seen him in any training photos either. Now, something that happened at the start of January was reports here suggesting that Rashford had turned down a move to Saudi, where he would have earned a bucket load of money. And Fabrizio Romano followed up on that and said that Rashford's got no interest in moving to a Saudi league or any club who plays in the Saudi league, because he wants to move to a top 5 club. And then you saw this from David Ornstein following up, and this is the first club that we heard of an interest in Rashford. Borussia Dortmund, AC Milan and Juventus both mentioned there, and I'll mention them in more detail next. But Borussia Dortmund was considered the first club that came in for him. Following on from that, Sky Sports Germany reporting that Dortmund are pulling out. They can't afford it. They were never going to be able to. They were never going to pay the money. So it was kind of pointless having a conversation about Dortmund, if I'm being completely honest. And then you move on to clubs in Italy, which is where the majority of the interest has come so far. This is the front page of Gazzetta dello Sport out there, talking about his move potentially to AC. And it's AC where it's most advanced, all right? His brother, Dwayne Maynard, is out in Italy speaking to clubs. Firstly, he spoke with AC Milan, and then he spoke with Juventus. Face-to-face talks in Italy with both clubs. Now, following on from that is this report from the Times that AC Milan want Marcus Rashford, but they can't afford his wages. And you go down here and you see this. AC Milan are expected to tell United that they will only pay half of Rashford's wages during any potential loan spell. And this is something that I've mentioned from the very beginning. And it's something I absolutely assume. And of course, assuming is a bad thing to do. But United will be expecting to pay part of Rashford's wages in order to find him a new club in January. There's no way that they're going to find any club in what... If Rashford moved to Saudi, it would have happened. But other than that, no club is going to pay the full contract. And United are going to have to pay part of it. Now, the interesting link has come from Como. Como are owned by Indonesia's richest family. They got Cesc Fabregas in as manager. Rafael Varane, of course, joined them as a free agent, but he got injured and is now an ambassador for the club. It will be an interesting move on paper, but Fabrizio Romano's come out, whatever sources he's got close to Rashford, they've distanced Rashford from any potential move to Como. So in a sort of summary of what's happened so far, it was the Saudi moves at the beginning of the January window that came and went very quickly. Apparently, Rashford rejected 3 moves, and Rashford's not interested in a move there. Then his agent and brother has held talks directly with AC Milan, and then followed that up with talks with Juventus. No confirmation of any talks actually happening with Como so far. Dortmund came in, had a peep. They're cheapskates. They were never going to get involved. And Galatasaray were linked with Rashford at the beginning of the window. But again, in the same way that he's distancing himself from Como, he distanced himself from a move to Turkey. Rashford wants to play in a club who plays for the top 5 leagues. And Italy feels like the most... It feels like the most likely, and it kind of always has. And as a prediction of what I think will come next, I'd be surprised if we don't see reports over the next couple of... We're seeing whispers and tentative reports talking about swap deals with Osimhen and Kvaratskhelia and all that stuff. But I would be surprised if Napoli don't sit down with Dwayne Maynard and discuss what a deal could potentially look like. And the same thing goes for Inter Milan. So I would expect these stories to come out over the next few days, because right now we've got AC and Juventus are the two clubs that have held face-to-face talks. And of those two, it's AC Milan who are the most advanced. I would think that Napoli and Inter would also, even if it's just from an exploratory perspective, just to see what it could look like. I mean, they pretty much know what the deal would look like. It will be a loan deal, probably with a... I don't even think that, if I'm being totally honest, I don't think United need to include a buy option, need to include an obligation to buy, and I don't particularly think that they should. Because right now, Rashford's stock is low. So if you were to try and include a buy obligation in it, it's going to be bottom tier money. The concept of this loan is, from United's perspective, Marcus Rashford goes to another club, be it AC Milan, be it Napoli, be it Juventus, doesn't really matter. Goes to said club and nails it. Refines Marcus Rashford. There he is, scores 15 goals. Obviously, there's going to be some United fans that say, oh, he should never have left. And then you get into all the arguments there. But that's what United want to happen. Because then Rashford's value goes up. The demand for Rashford goes up. And the ability for United to sell Rashford in the summer for a far greater price increases as a consequence of this loan. That's the main purpose of this loan. Is to give Rashford the ability to put himself in the shop window. Because he's not going to get that at United. All right? Has Amrim frozen him out, or has he frozen himself out? It feels like it's a bit of both, if I'm being completely honest. Rashford took the decision to have that interview, and that was after he was dropped by Amrim, just like Garnacho was, because he wasn't doing enough in training. So he's been left out of the majority of the squad since, whether it's illness, whether it's selection, whatever it is. Rashford's stock isn't going to go up in the second half of the season at United. I don't think so anyway. The only way it goes up is if we find that move. Now, I hope that United are willing to swallow that pill, because we're going to have to pay 150 grand plus for Rashford not to play for us, but that's a better scenario than Rashford just sitting in Manchester, just waiting for the summer and not really being part of Amrim's plans. I think that's a worst case scenario. So yeah, that's the sort of full story of the Rashford situation so far. Face-to-face talks with AC, that's where it's most advanced. Face-to-face talks with Juve. Dortmund, they're cheapskates. Galatasaray were never going to be considered an option, and neither were any Saudi clubs. Now, whether anybody else from Germany comes in, maybe Leverkusen, I don't know who else. It feels like Italy right now is the destination for Rashford. And I'll bring you more updates as and when they happen. But that's the full story so far. You can let me know what club do you think Rashford will join? Let me know in the comments.